This is it. This is why this is happening. This is least effort manifestation. This is the effortless way that Neville Goddard taught. Okay. And because the simulation, within the simulation, within the holographic world, there is nothing separate from anything else. There is nothing unclean of itself. So remember that when you're manifesting, that you're not going anywhere to get it, that you're actually just extending your feelers and thinking from an event that's already happened to you. And that's what we're going to cover in this video today. Welcome back, everyone. This is chapter 14, The Effortless Way by Neville Goddard, The Power of Awareness. This is the principle of least action. And when you can truly understand this and get control of your attention, you're going to propel forward. You're going to be living the life of your dreams. And remember, we don't have an information problem. We have an application problem. So remember, this information that you're taking in, implement it, start doing it, start applying it. You'll start seeing the results. Because remember, there has to be a radical psychological change in order to see a radical physical change within the simulation, because everything is you pushed out. So you have to change you in order to shift to that reality where those things are happening. And as always, remember, this video is sponsored by our school community. This world is a simulation, the largest manifestation community on school, with over 1,000 members and 93% results. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump into it. The principle of least action. This governs everything in physics, from the path of a planet to the path of a pulse of light. Least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the desired state, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time. And how do you do that? By knowing you're living in a simulation. And this is why I emphasize that point so much. Getting control of your attention, present moment awareness, knowing you're living in a simulation, and you're not going anywhere to get it. Creation is finished, okay? Everything is interconnected. Frequencies, everything's just vibrating at different frequencies. It makes it appear that it's separate from you, but there's nothing separate from you. You're just in a dream state right now. And how to create a version of yourself that you want to be right now, you fall in love with that version, you assume it to be true right now in the present moment, and then it unfolds. And then it attracts everything to you, shifts and molds the simulation. It shifts and molds the simulation to mirror who you truly are within yourself, and you believe and consent to being true in everything that you have with that concept of self. So remember this. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the desired state, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time. You're not going anywhere. Your journey from one state of consciousness to another is a psychological one. So to make the journey, you must employ the psychological equivalent of least action. And the psychological equivalent is a mere assumption. You're not making a physical move anywhere. You're making a psychological move, okay, to the assumption that it's already completed. And a lot of people have issues with this is because they don't have control of the direction of their attention. If you don't have control of the direction of your attention, it's going to be very difficult to assume something for longer than a half a second. All right. And people, a lot of people are hooked on dopamine. They're hooked on, they're drinking alcohol all the time. They're using drugs, they're pornography, social media. Their attention's being constantly attracted from without, and they're being distracted. They have a very short attention span. And then they look upon this teaching and I'm going to assume this. And then the 1 second they're here, the next second they're 1,000 miles away. And they're like, oh, it never happened. So then therefore it doesn't work. You have to have control of the direction of your attention and really feel yourself into this and be very present and holding on to that vision for yourself within, and training the mind. A big part of this is training your mind. Once you train your mind to hold on to a vision that you see in your imagination, and you feel yourself to be this person or having these things now, you train the mind to where it automatically stays on that vision. Even if you're not paying attention really to what your mind is doing, you've trained the animal of the mind to do what you want it to do. So it's kind of like on autopilot. Once you have a really vivid imagination, that's what Neville Goddard talks towards the end of his career about, just impressing the subconscious mind one time, visualizing it and feeling it to be real, and then letting it go. Because once the mind is trained, all you have to do is visualize it one time really, really vividly, and then you can let it go at that point, because then your mind is locked on it, because you trained your mind to stay focused on that one thing for long periods of time, and you can do whatever you want. Now your mind is now trained to hold on to that. Now you can let it go and just let it come to you, because your mind's going to bring it to you. Because remember, everything is contained within your own mind. The simulation, everything, all material, circumstances, obstacles, anything within your reality that you think is real is actually contained within your own mind. All right, so once you get control of your attention and you train your mind, you can do this at the highest levels, okay? So, all right. The day you fully realize the power of assumption, you discover that it works in complete conformity with this principle. It works by means of attention minus effort. Thus, with least action through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort. All right, so because creation is finished, what you desire already exists. Remember, because you're not really creating anything, creation is already finished. Everything is done. Everything you ever could desire yourself to be, it already exists. You're just manifesting different portions of what's already been created. All right, so it is the function of an assumption to call back the excluded view and restore full vision. So essentially, everything that you want to be, everything you want to have is right in front of you. You are already it, all right? You just can't see it in your current state of consciousness. Everything becomes clear when you start shifting states of consciousness. Now you can see the things that you want to have. They now start appearing in your world. They start coming to you. You're attracting them when you become this, when you restore your full vision, because it's right there in front of you. You just can't see it because your vision isn't developed enough into your state of consciousness and your awareness to be able to see it. But once you, like Neville Goddard says here, restore your full vision, that's when you can see it. That's when it disappears. But it's all right there. It's all right in front of you right now. So it is not the world, but your assumptions that change. Exactly. The world is already exactly how you want it to be, but your assumptions just don't line up with that. They're just not lining up with what you want. And how you establish that is the training, is the training. All right. All right. So an assumption brings the invisible into sight. So it is there. It's just invisible to you. It is there. It's just invisible to you right now. So it is nothing more nor less than seeing with the eye of God, the i.e. imagination. So for the Lord seeth not as a man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. The heart is the primary organ of sense, hence the first cause of experience. So when you look on the heart, you are looking at your assumptions. Assumptions determine your experience. All right, so watch your assumptions with all diligence. Watch your inner dialogues. Watch what you're assuming before you meet somebody, before you go somewhere. Anything that's happening in your world, what are you thinking about that person? Like, what are your assumptions of that person? What are your assumptions of the outcome of that happening? Really due diligence here. Watch your assumptions and see what's happening within you. See what your imagination is doing, and it will explain to you why your world is the way that it is. Remember that your assumption. Watch your assumptions with all diligence, for out of them are the issues of your life. Assumptions have the power of objective realization. Every event in the visible world is the result of an assumption or an idea in the unseen world. The present moment is all important, for it is only in the present moment that our assumptions can be controlled. And that's why I emphasize present moment awareness, because it's the only moment that's real. The only moment that you can do something. It's the only moment that you can manifest or change your concept of self or do something. So if anybody ever asks you to do something and you need to do something, do it right now. Don't say, oh, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. If you have the ability to do it now, do it now. Everything in your life. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be a daily chore or something. Never wait to do something unless you absolutely have to. Never wait. And it's like a big secret when you develop your concept of self. You'll see that this is really one of the biggest keys to developing a new version of yourself. If you were just to be presented with anything, like if someone says, okay, you need to do this in order to get this. And you say, okay, let me put a schedule together. Let me do this. Let me do that. If you were just to say, okay, I'm going to start like literally right now. We're not talking anymore. I'm going to do it. I'm going to starting right now. I'm going to make this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. And you just started doing it right then. And you just continue to do it until you were done. Your whole life would change. That's why it's so important. The present moment is all important, For it is only in the present moment that our assumptions can be controlled. All right. And a lot of this, like you said, the internal world, when you make a congruent action that aligns with your vision, you're drawing it closer and closer and closer to you as well. And you're lining up with those frequencies. That energy is all lining up. So the future must become the present in your mind if you would wisely operate the law of assumption. And that's how you draw it closer to you, making that congruent action within the simulation. The future becomes the present when you imagine that you are already what you want to be, and already what you are what you will be when your assumption is fulfilled. Be still, least action, and know that you are that which you desire to be. The end of longing should be being. Translate your dream into being. The end of longing, the end of desire, should be being. Being it. Start being your desire right now. You already have it. And how would you act? Remember that if you're transforming yourself into the version of yourself that's super successful and abundant, they do things right now. They don't put things off. They are a now person, a right now person. You'll see that. You will transform yourself into this. So if there's something right now in your life, I want to encourage you to do it now. Like, do it right now. Like, whatever it is. Like, if there's a brand that you want to create and you need to make a video, but you keep putting it off, or if you're writing a book and you've been putting it off, write it now. Like, literally, right now. Like, it's done. Like, you are a now person. Anything you've been putting off, procrastinating against, if you just did it right now, your whole life would change. Perpetual construction of future states without the consciousness of already being them, that is, picturing your desire without actually assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, is the fallacy and mirage of mankind. So don't fall victim to this. Don't fall victim to the instant gratification, the drinking, the drug use, wasting time, not investing in yourself. All right? It's time, okay? This is your time. This is your time to invest in yourself. Start applying these techniques in your life. Put a routine together. Get in a community where you're going to be around like-minded people. Delete all your social media stuff that you're wasting all your time on, and get into a community that's based on self-development, and spend your time there and start applying it and start posting your testimonials. Read other people's testimonials. Get new ideas from that. All right? It's your time to step into the new version of yourself. And like I said, this will make a radical psychological change. And in order to see a radical physical change, you have to have a radical psychological change. So you have to radically change your life. Radically change your life. Change all of your habits. All that's done. And start developing the internal world. Get away from all those distractions and start putting yourself in places where that's congruent with self-development, growth, education, and developing your mind and your manifestation abilities. All right, guys, I love you all, and I will see you in the next chapter.